So, what inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Um, quite a few things. I was quite interested in photography um, as a really young kid. There were a lot of films that we had on VHS that I sort of watched time and time and time again, and I think the combination of interest in taking photos and interest in the films that I'd seen hundreds of times, the two sort of worked together and really inspired me to want to create that sort of stuff.
On the film Trepidation, you were the director and cinematographer. Do you have a preference to either job?
Yeah, so I am a cinematographer. I'm not a director. The reason why I directed that film as well as DP'd it, I was very interested in creating something that would tick all the boxes as a cinematographer for me. So as it was my final film at university, it was a project that I felt very attached to. I helped write the story. I had script writers that did a really good job to try and flesh it out a bit and make it, an actual story. Because what I wrote obviously wasn't, definitely. I'm not a script writer, so I wasn't good in that sense. And the reason I directed it was because it was a lot quicker for me. I already knew in my head what I wanted. As a DP, one of your main responsibilities is discussing with a director the look and the feel and trying to figure out on each scene how they're trying to approach it and trying to best shoot what they have in their head, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me, being the director and the DP meant it was a lot quicker because I already knew what I wanted, so I could go do it. However, I wouldn't recommend it. I think the film lacks because I wasn't focusing so much on the direction side of things, and I was focusing too much on the cinematography because that's what I do. So the film's a bit flat on narrative. However, I was quite happy with the cinematography considering my age at the time and the level that I was at.
What was it like working with the cast on Trepidation?
The cast on Trepidation were great. It was a really interesting working environment. To begin with, I cast them. I had a lot of choice, so we had probably like 50 casts come in for the main roles, for the main three characters, and we went through. We did little acting workshops and got them to try and perform with each other, and we tried to find people that worked well with each other. So there was a good marriage of performances between the three of them, rather than just finding the individual characters.
Yeah.
And once we picked the three, it was great. We did some makeup and hair tests, some costume tests, and then we obviously then started production. And all the other people that had applied, we'd ask them if they could be extras so they could come down. So like, for example, the cricket scene at the beginning, there's quite a lot of kids, so it was hard to organise that.
Okay.
So that was one of the biggest things for us, is being able to call those people up again and going, we're obviously really sorry you didn't get the main role, but would you be interested in coming down for a couple of days to do this? So we did like the scenes with the dinner tables, the scene in the cricket, and the scene in the bedrooms with all the beds, with all the extras, which was really good. It's difficult working with children, definitely difficult. Not just because you have to be careful with attention spans, because obviously naturally as a child you have a very short attention span, you want to go and do other things. I was very fortunate with the actors that I had. They were phenomenal. They learnt their lines off by heart, which I wasn't expecting, and I got them to do multiple takes and they nailed it every single time. And I don't have one bad thing to say about the cast. They were phenomenal. Acting was great, and considering I wasn't being a very strong director and I was kind of just letting them get on with it, they did a fantastic job. I just wish that if I was a better director at that time, I could maybe have made the whole narrative a lot stronger. But it was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with the kids. They were great. They were fantastic. Obviously the challenges are hours, and you can't expect them to do some things that you would expect an adult to do. We still pushed it. Like, I'm pretty sure we probably went over the hours a couple of times, but we got permission from their parents or or we explain to them, is it okay? And their parents were always on set anyway, so they were constantly watching, making sure that their children were comfortable and happy. And naturally, there was a couple of complaints. I think there was one scene that we were shooting in the night out on the in the driveway scene. I don't know if you remember, where she runs out from the swimming pool and she's there.
Oh,
she sees her father, and her father puts her in the car.
Yeah.
It took us quite a while to set up the lighting for that, because obviously night shoots, it's not so easy to shoot. We also, something I hadn't thought about in the script that we wrote, she came out of the swimming pool and then she was outside in the night. Naturally, it's freezing cold, so we were trying to figure out ways of making her look wet, but not having her so wet. So it was more about just getting the ends of the hair wet and dampening the top, rather than literally having her get out of the swimming pool and run in the night. So yeah, it was a bit challenging in that sense, but yeah, other than that, it was great.
The quote from her mother's book
Yeah.
was, there were people who live in ugly houses in ugly streets among neighbours who got drunk on Saturday nights and did not read books or play music or go to picture galleries and were unnecessarily rude to each other. We did not despise these people, we simply felt they did not have as amusing a time as we did. Is this the reason why Emily's mother is against her hanging out with Will?
I think that Emily's mother wouldn't have disagreed. I think Emily's mother would have been a lot more open, a lot more liberal, a lot more free for her to go and have friends, no matter who it was. I think it was more of an excuse for the father to say to put her in the position of making her feel guilty, and to say your mother wouldn't have approved, because obviously her mother's not around anymore. She would have passed away, presumably. And we do say that in the film, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
And I think it's the father using that as a tool to make her feel bad that she doesn't go off and do this sort of stuff. To say, like, your mother wouldn't have done this, or your mother wouldn't have approved, and she goes, oh, you know what, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do it, because you have a strong attachment, especially to somebody that you can't talk to, or you can't then go and ask. As some people do, they go and ask their dad and they go no, and then you go and ask your mum and they go yeah, and you go great. Or at least one person said it, but she doesn't have that opportunity. I'm really impressed that you picked out what book that was and actually looked into what the book was. That's really impressive, actually. I don't think anyone else cared to notice. There's quite a few little things in the film like that, which I don't know if you noticed the other book. So there's another book in the bedroom scene that he uses to put on the guy's chest to punch, so you don't see bruises.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed what book that was.
No, I didn't.
So that book was Lord of the Flies, and I don't know if you know the story Lord of the Flies.
I've heard of Lord of the Flies, but I'm not
Definitely
aware of it.
give it a read or watch the film. It's basically a film about kids that they end up starting their own sort of leadership, and they end up getting, one of them was like, no, I want to be the leader, and they end up like killing them each other, sort of thing.
Okay.
So it's kind of a little tiny homage, that tiny little scene where it's
Between Tom and the bully?
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
that's... Okay.
But it's a tiny little subtle thing that we put in. We didn't think anybody would ever notice, and I'm actually more impressed with the fact that you noticed the other book with the father in the when he's talking about the books, and
What was your favourite scene from Trepidation and why?
That's a really difficult question. I think I have a few favourite scenes. I love the dinner scene. There's the the lunch scene. I think it's quite comical with the bully sitting to one
And he
side.
steals the food?
Yeah, so that's quite funny. And then I love it when we come back to it and they're all laughing at him, and that I enjoyed that. I think that was quite a nice little tie-in.
Yeah.
But I think probably my favourite scenes are, I don't know really. It's really difficult. I kind of like it. I like them all very similar. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think
I know what you mean.
I don't think there's a particular scene that I sit there and go, that's my favourite scene.
So they all stand out to each other?
Yeah, I like the boarding orphanage scene with the beds and the
Yeah.
I think that's quite cool. They all gang up on the bully. Hit him again.
But he still makes fun of Tom's brother not being there.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's your brother to help you?
So yeah, he still gets to him, which is cool. But it's difficult. I mean, it's really funny because I think the last time I watched this film was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember the last time I watched it, so I'm trying to remember what we even shot. But there's quite a few moments. There's quite a few moments that I like on a narrative level as well, where, like, for example, with Emily and I can't even remember the other character's name. Emily and Will. Yeah, Emily and Will are in the attic.
Yeah.
And they've snuck in to Emily's house, and they've gone to the attic. It's the only place that the father wouldn't know. That for me was quite a nice little scene, because it's quite a cozy environment. They feel like they can really sort of divulge some personal information. And that was one of the challenges as well. There was a fine line between making this movie where you're working with young kids, too young to have too much romance in the film, and it's a very fine line between it becoming weird and it becoming innocent and okay.
Yeah.
And that was something that myself and the scriptwriters and the producer, we all worked together to try and figure out what can we do, what can't we do, where's the fine line, especially with like them jumping in the swimming pool and almost kissing in the swimming pool. It's like, how close do you go? Because these kids were like 13 years old, if maybe even younger, maybe 12, 11 years old. So it's tough, like, because you have to be really careful. You don't want to do anything inappropriate. So that was quite a difficult thing to do, because originally in the story, I think they were a bit older when we wrote the script.
Okay.
So there was a lot more you could do. There was a lot more you could, you could go a little bit further with the whole romance side of things, with the, Emily and Will liking each other and sneaking into each other's houses, and it's you could go a lot further. But with younger kids, you have to keep it more innocent. And that was something that was definitely something that we had to think about a lot on set and in pre-production and in post-production as well. It's a lot of it was like, how long do you hold on a shot for? How long, you've got to be very careful with, scenes where Emily's jumping in the water, that you don't show so much, or you make sure that it's done in a way that's safe, and so it was a challenge in that sense.
You mentioned the attic scene when she's talking about her mother's book.
Yeah.
There was also a painting behind them, and I was wondering, what does that painting represent? I mean, does that have some sort of hidden thing? My first thought was that she was talking about her mother's book, and it looked like an old painting of a young girl, and it was a smiling girl.
Yeah.
I was wondering, was that her mother, by any chance? A portrait, maybe?
I would love to give you a very well thought out answer that makes total sense of the story. However, quite simply put it, in a way that just made sense how it was. We turned up at the location, and we shot in a real attic, and the painting was there. And they said, should we get rid of it? And I was kind of like, no, I kind of like it. Just leave it there. And it was actually my production manager's.
Yeah.
I think it was actually a painting of my production manager when she was a kid or a lot younger. I can't remember the painting, to be honest, but her name is Mari, and it was her mother's house, I think. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the painting was of her. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. And I remember going, oh yeah, please take the painting out. And I was like, yeah, just leave it there. I kind of like it. I kind of think it works, because I kind of wanted people to think maybe it's a painting of her mother.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it was never thought of as an actual prop to put in there to begin with.
Okay.
I can send you all of the pre-production stuff if you want, and it's got like concept drawings of all the locations of like how I imagined it to be.
I saw some of the concept art on your Facebook page.
Oh yeah.
Trepidation.
Yeah. So there's some of it's on there, and then there's some other bits I didn't share with anybody. And I've got a whole pre-production pack full of stuff, and all different types of like hair styles, and because that's things that people don't really think about. We chose a different hairstyle for every day of Emily. She was always had a different way of having her hair, and costumes was very, very important for me as well, to make it feel authentic, and locations was incredibly important too.
Yeah. When planning for Tracing Echoes,
Yeah.
what locations did you want to visit first?
So there wasn't a huge amount of planning with Tracing Echoes. We knew we wanted to go to Iceland. We knew we wanted to create a documentary. It was actually a project for one of our university courses. Oh, sorry. It was actually
It's all right.
Sorry. So Tracing Echoes was actually a project for one of our university. Our university course. It was a project, and the project was documentary. So we had to go out and create a documentary, whether that was based in the UK or it could be anything. So we could shoot a documentary on a London Underground cleaner, which somebody did, which was really, really interesting. And we decided, instead of doing an intimate story, we'd do something a little bit more broader, a little bit more about a place. But we didn't want to just keep it about the place. We wanted to try and narrow it down as well. So we got, I think it was one of our producers or director, I can't remember at the time, knew this band or had contacts with this band called Blood Group. And Blood Group, they create all their music in Iceland, and they use the environments as an influence to their music. And they have very specific places that they like, which are quite influential to different tracks of their music.
Okay.
So for us, it was a case of filming them to begin with, and then finding out where they talked about quite a lot. And then once we knew the places that they discussed about, which places in Iceland to them feel quite close. They're close to, which was really important to us as well, because it's not like you're going to a tourist board and going, where's some good touristy places to go. We went to an actual Icelandic, citizens, and we asked them where they like the best, which is different, because obviously naturally, if you ask somebody in London where they like, they're probably not going to say the London Eye, whereas if you ask the tourist board, they'd probably say, oh, the London Eye's good, Big Ben, all that sort of stuff. So it got us to go to some places that not many people see sometimes, some places that everyone sees, like some big waterfalls. But we tried to tie in the environment with the music and try and keep the documentary flowing on both sides.
What was your favourite shot from that?
My favourite shot from Tracing Echoes has got to be probably the shot where the girl is walking towards camera from the waterfall, the big waterfall, it's a big wide. That's probably my favourite. There's a lot of good shots that I really enjoyed working, and there's another shot as well where we track through an ice.
Is it the circle?
Yeah, so I quite like that.
Yeah.
That was good fun. There was another one where we got on a wide lens and sort of went through like this arched iceberg on the beach and just sort of went along it, and it almost looks like a helicopter shot. It's not, obviously, it's just a slider, but it looks kind of cool.
What was it like to work with actors Bryan Cranston and Jodie Richardson?
It was great. Yeah, working with Bryan Cranston, Jodie Richardson, and Jack Dee, really, really good. It was a great experience working with actors that are very, very experienced, very seasoned in what they do. It's kind of effortless for them, really. I guess how it felt anyway. Like they come on set. They get up to date with their lines. We discuss blocking, and then we start to shoot. And one of the best things I think with working with Bryan, which and Jolie as well, and Jack Dee is like anyone that's very experienced as an actor, and also the director who acted in the film as well. The main character in that Real Thirsty, his name's Robert Gilbert, and he was incredibly talented as well. They're all they've done it for so long. They understand camera. They understand how to perform for camera, which is really important from a cinematographer's point of view. They understand lighting, so they understand where they should be standing and where they shouldn't be standing. Even if you don't put marks out, they just kind of know where they should be, which is great, which is a fantastic feeling. And in terms of performance, for example, when Bryan does a take, every single take is different, but not in a bad way. In a way that he's giving a different type of performance, so that in the edit they can choose what type of performance do we want to do, because every one of them's good.
Yeah.
It's like, which one do we want to choose, which is a lovely way. Where most films that I'd shot before, it's more like trying to find the best take.
Yeah.
Whereas they're all good takes. It's like, which one do you prefer?
So he does a different style with each take. On the
Yeah,
same
so
scene.
it's very slightly different style. So he'll do something like he'll make emphasis on one thing more than the other on a different take. He'll be a little bit more aggressive on one take. He'll be a little bit more laid back and a little bit like weirded out on another take. And I think that's really good acting. I think that is when you get to a point where you're so comfortable acting that you basically just want to give the director options later. And I think that's such an important thing, which he did, and he did a fantastic job, as expected. He's a great actor, yeah. And it was the same with Jodie Richardson as well. She did great. She's a good performer. And Jack Dee was pretty funny as well. He had lots of funny things that he was saying, and again, saying a few different lines here and there, which allowed them to choose later which takes they wanted to use for certain things. So, yeah.
You're running today's workshop. What main points are you focusing on today?
So it's kind of a fun one. I don't usually do things like this. This is, a friend of mine's asked me to come down and help out, which, I'm not doing anything at the moment, so I'm happy to come down and do it. I think some of the main things that I kind of want to focus on is just getting people interested in filmmaking, making them understand the process, how to create a basic film, just from coming up with an idea, shooting it, and then editing it. It's stuff that I wish that there were things like this that when I was at their age, it would have been great. I would have loved it. It would have been absolutely amazing just to get my hands on a camera and just go and shoot some video stuff. I think it would be fantastic.
Especially at such a young age when they have yet to
decide
decide what they have to do.
They've still got a couple of years before they decide where they want to go after school.
Yeah. And also, if they do it from such a young age, they can pick their GCSEs to their relevant course, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. So it's incredibly important for them to, if they feel like this is something they're really interested in, then they have the opportunity to, make their path in the right direction, which I think is important. And it's a good place as well to explain to them what it's like in the real world, what it's like to study in college and university, so they know what to expect. Because I think a lot of people expect different things, especially when they go to university. I hear quite a lot of people complain and they go, "Oh, we're not getting taught this. I'm not getting taught how to be a cinematographer." And you're like, "Well, I understand your point, but you can't really teach cinematography. You can teach the principles and the techniques, but a cinematographer, it's all in the eye, it's all in the mind, and it's all about creativity. And you're only as good as a cinematographer as what you're influenced by. If you're going out and you're watching this film and that film, and you love styles, and you're creating a mental bank of fantastic imagery. So when you go and use that and actually create your own content, subconsciously you're using all of that stuff you love, and you're trying to create a look that is sort of molding all of these things together and making it how you imagine what you like to do as cinematography. And obviously fitting it to the director's work as well. You want to make sure that's the most important thing, is to make sure that they're happy with the look, and that you're keeping it on the line of story, structure, mood, look and emotion. So I think that's. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, definitely. Final question.
Yeah.
If all of your students here could walk out with one piece of information today, what would it be?
Information or advice, like
Advice or anything you think they should walk away with knowing this in film?
I think probably the most important thing to come away from this is to understand that if it's something you're passionate about, if it's something you actually love, then it's for you. And filmmaking is going to be an absolute joy of a career. It's there's no way to sugarcoat the film industry. It's a hard industry to work in. There's moments of no work, there's moments of loads of work and you're super stressed, and when you're working on set, sometimes you can be doing like 15, 16, 17 hour days, and it's like super tiring, and but at the end of the day you enjoy it, you love it, and you just you want it to do well. You want to create good content, and I think to come away just from today, I think it's important for the kids to realise that no matter what industry it is in, whether it's film or something else, if you want something really badly, as long as you put your mind to it and really work hard, and you're passionate about it and you love doing something, anything's really possible. You know, you have to work hard at it. It's not going to be like an overnight thing. You're not going to suddenly become Steven Spielberg or Roger Deakins or Emmanuel Lubezki, or you're not going to suddenly become a great. It's a hard process. You work your way up. And even when you're shooting massive feature films, those people still want to progress themselves.
Yeah.
And it's quite comical. I think about that. I go, someone like Roger Deakins, who says he's constantly learning and constantly wanting to push further, and I sit there and go, I wish I was even like half as talented as yourself. But then I think about it, and I think about myself when I was at college, and if I knew that I would be at the level I am today, I wouldn't believe myself. I'd be like, nah, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I think it's constantly bettering yourself as well. So I think the main message is to just push for what you're passionate for. Keep trying, don't give up, and eventually it'll happen.